This video is brought to you by Paranormal Tales, an upcoming first-person single-player bodycam horror experience. Check out the link below to be able to support the project as well as check out the Discord.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Update my drivers, you fucking asshole.
I already started recording. This is staying in. This is hilarious.
Okay, hello everybody. It's the Venom Xenomorph. Welcome back to the Fog Wanderers podcast. It's been a long time since we've done an entry on this. Obviously, we have our usual hosts such as myself, Raffi YT,
Hello.
Pixel Bush, the lore guy, and Tootin.
What's up?
Greetings.
Okay, so we're obviously super thrilled to be back, and we have a lot to talk about. There's been a lot of developments on the Fog Wanderers in terms of anything Dead by Daylight as well as anything else asymmetrical and horror. So welcome everybody back to this amazing podcast, and can't wait to have you guys watching this and back in our community. So let's go ahead and just start off right out the gate. Forged in Fog. Okay, it's the next big thing for Dead by Daylight. It's got a lot of hype because nobody knows what it is. Like, unlike most of the other non-licensed chapters that have come out recently, because I'm pretty sure this one's non-licensed. That's part of the hype, right? Like, we haven't narrowed down if this is licensed or not.
I'm pretty sure it's a night though. Like they're pretty obvious it's a night.
Guaranteed it's a night, but they didn't say. They haven't said if it's licensed or non-licensed. DVD Leaks has been back and forth on that. So I have my own thoughts. I've covered it before on my channel, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts first. I guess we'll start with Raffi. What are you thinking on this one?
On the Forged in Fog, I'm thinking. Well, at first I was thinking it was just original because the fact that it's Forged in Fog and we had no official For Honor look in it. But then after having some talk a little early before we started this recording, I would have to say it's most likely a For Honor tie-in. It's gonna be like Ghostface, where it's half original, half licensed. So it's gonna be two original characters, but they're gonna tie into the world of For Honor. That's what I'm thinking.
What are you thinking, lore guy?
My thoughts are kind of similar to Raffi's because For Honor's a strange game. Because a lot of its characters are from the far history of the game, and the playable characters are just more like archetypes. I suspect it is going to be a situation where we're going to get characters that For Honor players will recognize as being from For Honor, but they'll be original characters created by behavior. I looked at the sword design in the teaser that they showed us, and my money is on either a member of the Order of Holocaust, which For Honor players will know as the Warmongers, or a member of the Black Priors. So I suspect Black Prior because the sword design is a bit too short for the flamberges used by the Warmongers. So I suspect this is what we're going to get. Something that will at least be visually similar to the Black Priors, perhaps, for the Killer, and then Survivor. I've got no idea.
Alright, what are you thinking, Tootin?
Same page as Pixel and Raf. I really agree with Pixel. I feel like it's gonna be like I think Pixel said it earlier before we were recording, but it's kind of akin to like the Scream chapter, where it's like it's from that universe, obviously, but it's an original take on that character or on a character. So, but I personally think it's gonna be something akin to a night.
I think this is hinting at something that we're going to cover later in the podcast, viewers out there, in terms of me being on my own against the three of them for a topic later. But I think I'm on my own on this topic too, because I think it has absolutely nothing to do with For Honor. I think that because Dead by Daylight Leaks, I think, did cover that in the rumors chat anyway. I think they mentioned how like it was supposed to be For Honor, but they delayed the chapter too much, so they just scrapped the license in terms of collaborating with them for an actual chapter and decided to go the non-licensed route. My money's on Dracula. Genuinely. I'm calling dibs. Like if I'm right on this, I'm going to be one hell of a messiah, because the Dracula is a non-licensed character. Dracula is free licensing. The original writer of Dracula, Bram Stoker, never filed an official copyright for the character, and according to law at the time in like 1912, the UK, they protected his works for 50 years. So in 1962, Dracula and Abraham Van Helsing became officially non-licensed characters. So that's why we have so many random different adaptations of Dracula. And because of that, we've seen Dracula in the tomes, right? He
That's
pops
not
up in one of them.
that's not Dracula specifically.
It's Vlad
There's
the
a lot of
Impaler, right?
no, it's not. It is an original character who was featured in the Observer story. It's not it's not a vampire that we would culturally we'd identify. It has a lot of traits that are obviously derivative of Dracula, but it is not a character that already existed before DVD. Which is why I'll be honest. I think a vampire, if it does come, is a long way off, because because a lot of the Observer stories are based on known cultural horror icons that we've had. There was one, Tome 9 was all about giant spiders. And yeah, I suspect with so much emphasis for the chapter's marketing and even the name being all about like steel, armor, that sort of thing, that makes me think that if it was a vampire, we'd probably have that as the focus.
Okay, yeah,
That
like
does make
like a
sense.
bat screech or something in the
Yeah,
background.
absolutely.
Like
Or
something
even a different chapter name.
Or like it would say like maybe like forged in blood and not fog. Like
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Well, the reason I'm thinking this is not only because of the Dracula non-licensed thing, but I did a lot of deep dive on this theory. So Vittorio is the name of the survivor.
Italian. Right?
Based off the perk and based off the leaks, that's kind of been narrowed down that Vittorio is the name of the survivor. Vittorio is a really weird name. Trying to look it up for honor and everything like that, nothing came up. Absolutely nothing. I tried looking up stuff for Dracula though to try and fuel my theory. Quite a few pop-ups for Vittorio came up, like two different main ones. The first one was there was an actor in a like kind of indie Dracula movie named Vittorio De Luca or something like that, and he played one of the main characters in like Blood for Dracula or something like that. And then the other thing that came up was Vittorio the Vampire from the same writer who wrote Interview with a Vampire, like the novel and the
Anne Rice.
yeah, Anne Rice. Thank you. And there were a lot of results that came up for Vittorio when it came to searching up stuff like Dracula. The other thing too is Dracula historically, if we're following the trait of like For Honor and how For Honor is really derived off of actual history instead of mostly just random mumbo jumbo. The original character that inspired Dracula was Vlad the Impaler, and he was a knight. And his armor is well up in display in the castle that inspired Dracula, like the novel. And the armor looks very similar to the armor that's in DVD Leaks thread. Like the rumors thread, he posted an image of like a knight's armor, like a drawing of it, and said like it's a lot like this, but there's hair coming out the back of the helmet, and there's more spikes and stuff like that. And the armor looks very, very close to what he's talking about. So
I can absolutely see that.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I think they could make like a very because like I said, you know, Dracula's not licensed, so it doesn't have to be Dracula, but they could totally go completely original with it while also using Dracula as the base and like going way up from that, like a vampiric, like because they always talk about how they use the things that they always mentioned before, at least Matthew Cote did, was they will use a new ability that's introduced at least twice before they move to the next one. And Oni, I think, is the only one that has a blood mechanic like that. I haven't seen any other killers that are like that. At least not in my own experience. Am I wrong? Are there any other killers that have that?
Have a blood.
No, I think you're right. I'm just gonna postulate something about the For Honor thing though. One thing that I realized when I was actually playing through For Honor for footage was each of the factions has a step, like talks in English when you're playing as them. When you're playing against them, they speak a different language. And in the case of the Knights, that language is Latin, and Vittorio is an Italian name. So I think it would not be surprising at all given that the kind of implied native language of the Knight faction is Latin, and they're based on the Roman Empire, where there's a Centurion and a Gladiator in there, because they're implied to be the Roman Empire back when the world ended and got messed up. That Vittorio is a name that would fit culturally, because it's Italian name with origins in the Roman Empire. I think it makes absolute sense.
Yeah,
Makes
I agree
sense.
with that.
I think so.
The only other thing that like fuels my theory is the year. It's 2022. It doesn't sound like a big year. It's been a big year for horror, but it comes to like importance to Dracula. It is the 60th anniversary of Dracula being non-copyright. 60 years ago this year it was non-copyright, and then 125 years ago was when they wrote the book. So it's a pretty landmark year for that property, I guess, even though it's free license. That character is such a big year. I think if they didn't at least acknowledge it, then they're
Well-
missing it. They're missing a window.
Here's a crackpot theory. I mean, Dracula isn't technically a license, like it's like a free character to use. So what if BHVR and the guys behind For Honor were working together to create a Vlad the Impaler inspired character from For Honor? Because For Honor isn't really grounded in reality. Like they're all
Right.
using like these special moves, like these superhuman moves. So what if that was implemented in some way to like a Vlad the Impaler style character inspired by For Honor, made by the For Honor guys, and developed by Behavior?
That would make sense to me.
That would make sense.
There's a killer that's running around like crazy in terms of the theories. Anyway, they keep mentioning Acheron, Achelon
Apollyon.
For Honor,
Apollyon.
Apollyon. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was mixing up names with something else, but
The night
he's the
type
one that I
Pokemon.
hear the most. He's the one I hear the most. I hear him all the time. Like
Yeah,
it-
she's if anything the big bad of the whole story.
Yeah.
She's the reason the factions are fighting in the first place.
It's
And-
a woman.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yes, she
The whole
is.
time I thought it was a guy.
Oh,
No,
woman.
Apollyon is a woman, and she's this is what I was talking about. Where there's I think I have two ideas of what they could be basing the night off, and one of them is her order, which is the Order of Horkos, which is this death cult that pushes for conflict all the time to push humanity forwards, and there are a bunch of armored warriors, women who wear replicas of Apollyon's original armor. So the sword, the traditional sword wielded is a flamberge, which is like a kind of two-handed sword. So which is why I'm not sure. But if you were going to take the big bad of For Honor, you would look at Apollyon without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
She is the instigator of all of literally millennia of conflict.
Okay.
Kind of reminds you of
I have
Doomfist
no
a little
other
bit
thoughts.
when you talk about world through evolving through conflict.
I just hope it doesn't suck, man. Like, I hope we
Yeah,
don't-
the chapter,
yeah.
like
Well, we'll find out in a few days, literally.
I guess, yeah. Doesn't the PTB drop
On
like
Tuesday, I believe.
next week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're like very close to figuring out what the hell this chapter is gonna be. Whether it's Dracula and Knight or just both put together.
I just
Yeah.
hope if it's an original, whether it's a licensed original or whatever, I hope it's interesting to bring people in. Interesting enough to bring people in, because it seems like over the past year or so, the only thing that's been bringing old players back to DVD and new players in are like these huge licensed chapters, like Wesker
Well,
and Pinhead
keep
and
it.
shit like that. And then you go to the artist, and it's like, wow, the player base
Crickets.
completely drops off.
To be fair, that was a really weird chapter to have in the game. It was just. It sounded like I love the artist, like I love her design, I love everything about her lore, but there's something about how the chapter was packaged and it was brought out that wasn't very appealing to everybody.
Well, it doesn't help that it had the worst goddamn map to ever be designed.
Oh, I hate Iris
ever.
of Crow
Yeah.
so much.
Well, sorry, Venom.
No,
carry on.
you go ahead.
As a rampant Carmina enjoyer and number one and chairman of the Jonah Vasquez hater fan club, I
don't
think
like
Portrait of
things.
a Murder is one of the most creatively interesting chapters in Dead by Daylight. Like, genuine. If you look at the history behind it, if you look at the character, the real life person that inspired Carmina, and the political background that her backstory had, it is incredibly interesting, deliciously complex. But what it also is something completely alien to a lot of Western players.
Yeah.
Like you ask the average person what Pinochet was up to in 1978, they're not going to be able to tell you. But understanding it is core to understanding her. And it's key to everything, her visual design, her lore. Like all of it ties together in a very elegant way. But it's something that is kind of inaccessible compared to something more obviously iconic, like, that's an Oni. We know that because he has a mask on that looks like an Oni and he's called the Oni and he shouts at you and he's Japanese and has a cannibal. Like, that's very, very iconic and very obvious where it comes from. Carmina is not that. So, Portrait of a Murder, I think, is kind of a... Similar to Binding of Kin, another chapter that I love to bits. It's very much... It doesn't have that instant cultural recognizability, and I think that seriously hurt the chapter's sales, because you look at Carmina and you go, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And, like, again, I love it, because I'm a nerd who pays attention to things like, to history and things like that. But that broad appeal just didn't exist.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I really enjoy the chat. Everything but the fucking map. I like the
Yeah,
perks.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
love
like
that.
the lore of the characters, the design of Carmina, like all of that. Love it. Love the backstory to her.
It kind of goes with the
But
Artist?
dredge.
it doesn't appeal, like you said. It just does not appeal to most Western people because I mean they could see like fucking Trapper and they're like, oh, Jason Voorhees, you know?
Yeah. Or they see
something
Hillbilly
like
and they'll
that.
see, oh, Leatherface, even though he's also in the
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
The artist was the one character genuinely, like, this is gonna sound like an insult, but it's genuinely just the way I play games. Like, the artist was the one character I actually cared to look at the backstory, like, paragraph thing that they have for her, the background. That was the one character I cared about because I didn't know what she was. Like, all the other characters, I was like, oh, it's pretty obvious what this is supposed to be, versus the artist, like the way that she had like ink coming out of her hands as like these new
Yeah.
claws, right? I was like, what the hell is
And-
this? This is awesome, but what is it? Like,
It's also it's depressing because I mean if you look back at it as someone who like made theories videos, you know, like broke down the teases and shit. That chapter had some of the best teases that
Oh,
Behavior
yeah.
has ever done.
And was largely unleaked. Obviously, we had the
Yeah.
models leaked a couple of days before, but that was it. Before that, we had
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. There was just theories like it was going to be like Conjuring because of the staircase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Right,
the
right,
teases
I
were
remember hearing
fucking
that.
And then,
incredible, man.
And then I remember I told Tootin something about, I can't remember what the hell it was, some of Mayans or something because of some of the
Yeah,
artwork,
I was on the Mayans boat for a hot minute.
which would be a great chapter. Like there's so many historical figures that we have yet to see
I mean-
appear in here that could work lore wise to the whole entity.
We were talking about Smite earlier. They could do 100% like a Mayan inspired chalk, you know,
Yeah,
the god, something like that for the game.
I personally want to see a Viking because I think Viking culture.
I think it's a good way to transition this into what we kind of want to see in terms of the next, because last I checked, the last thing that happened in terms of a big leak, right, in terms of a huge awareness of the timeline,
It was Lester,
Was-
wasn't it?
was
and
Dredge.
yeah, when it was Dredge. They were like, the new killer is called the Dredge. We're getting a Resident Evil Part 2, and then we're
Yeah.
getting a Night Killer. And it was weird as hell to get that because we were like, what the hell? Like
Oh,
there's,
man,
the hype
that's
train's
why-
gone. Like
Most
there's
of the
no-
year spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
but-
you look at my videos, man, like I've uploaded like once in the
But-
past 3 or 4 fucking months. Like,
Yeah.
there's no point in fucking they ruined my job, you know?
Bro,
But now
He
we're
got
at
put
the
out
end
the
of it.
job. Yeah.
Now we're at the end of it. The Night's the last thing that we know so far. Now we're going to go into unknown territory again. So now we get to
Yeah.
finally talk about what we want to see and what's next, right? Like everybody's obsessing over Stranger Things right now, hoping that Stranger Things either comes back the night or when they release a part 2, because I think they officially announced that they would do a part 2 due to the hype of
I'm-
season 4.
Oh boy. Yeah, you'll love that.
Yeah, they're gonna do a part 2, and whether they return the first half by updating with part 2, so like they release the second killer and at the same time bring Demogorgon back or whatever, or they release it now with the night. That's in the air. But Stranger Things is coming back. But everybody's obsessing over Smile for some reason. A lot of people want to see. I've seen people like very rarely tweet that they want something from the movie in the game. Like they keep talking about this drawing that was in the trailer. It looks like Bendy, I guess, from Bendy and the Ink
Oh,
Machine.
we're going with the
like,
drawings. Is this FNAF theories now?
oh, the whole movie is like a psychological horror, right?
Okay.
And they I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the movie, so I'm like kind of like talking out my own ass here. But
I've
there's
seen
a
it.
drawing in the trailer where it looks like Bendy and the E Machine, but it's like way creepier and way like it's actually terrifying looking. And people are like looking at this picture and they're like,
Oh.
"I want this in the game."
Is this the
Like-
monster
well-
movie where it's
well-
like there's
well-
like an imaginary friend or something like that that's killing people?
No,
Oh.
No,
I don't think so. No.
No. I can tell you I've seen it, and trust me when I tell you, Smile is the definition of mid. Smile is the ring we have at home. Like that monster you see in the drawing. It's not in the film, and there isn't even really a being in it at all. It's actually more like It Follows in a way, where it's just sort of you see an actual creature for maybe 6 seconds in the whole film, and the rest of it is just figuring out an incredibly obvious quote unquote mystery. And it's like Smile does not have legs. I'm thinking of imaginary friend killing people would be my personal pick for a licensed chapter. Not apart from RE7 because I'm on that Jack Ryan set. What the film we're talking about, I think, is Malignant.
Yeah, Malignant.
Oh,
That's the
God.
one with the imaginary friend killing people.
Yeah,
That's the
I
one.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one I was
fucking
thinking of.
movie.
Okay,
That was the
good.
worst. That was the worst movie.
We're disagreeing again, are we? Then this is
Oh, I think
this
this
is
movie
this is
was
the Venom Getting Bullied podcast. I love it.
It was so bad. It was I can't
Yummy
handle
acid,
it.
My favorite movie of the decade.
I don't care if I'm getting burned at the stake for this. It was really like it was predictable. That's the problem that I have with movies. I want to sit there and go, "Oh my god!" Like for example, I was really late to the party to stuff like Haunting of Hill House
Oh, I
and
thought you were
Haunting of
talking
Bly
about
Manor.
this
I watched those shows within the last month. Like that's how late I was to the party.
I still
I
haven't watched
cried
it.
at the end both times. They are amazing. They are so good. You haven't seen them, Tootin? Is that
Nope.
you?
What are we talking about?
You gotta watch them. The haunting shows on Netflix, Haunting
no,
of
I
Hill
haven't.
House, Haunting of Bly Manor.
Oh no, I haven't seen that either.
You gotta watch it. It's one of those shows that you have to watch all the way to the end because like they'll give you fragments as it goes, and then the final picture's there at the end. That's the stuff I like. I want to feel a reason to watch the movie all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay, like I want to feel like that at the end of the movie, it was worth me sitting there
I
watching
see.
this for as long
Like-
as it was.
Like you're not
And-
dredging through, yeah.
Yeah, and Malignant really was one that I was ready to like. I'm so glad it launched on HBO Max because I wasn't going to be the one to go pay money to go see that movie. Like I was not thrilled with it. I got up many times to go get myself like a soda or a snack, and I came back and I felt like I didn't miss a thing. Like I knew exactly what was happening. It was fine. I understand the premise. The premise is really, really cool. The whole concept of like she's seeing the murders that her ghost friend is doing is like really cool and really cryptic. But it wasn't scary. It didn't have any mystery to it. I wasn't mesmerized by it. I wasn't attracted to it. I wasn't stuck in my chair watching the movie is what I'm saying. And,
Dude, I think I have a confession then. I might just be goddamn dumb because I was sitting there. It was a mystery for me the whole movie until the reveal happened. I was like, when it happened.
This movie
No,
sounds
I
like
knew
the Treehouse of
exactly.
Horror episode where Lisa's imaginary friend was killing all her friends.
Well, the thing is, I figured it out, but that didn't take away the potency of the reveal, in my opinion. Like maybe it's just the way I watch movies. I don't like to think I try to outsmart the film. That's like it's why I like Spiral. because
I love Spiral.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spiral got me though. Spiral actually did twist
Spiral
me,
got
'cause-
you. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see it actually. I can see it, but because I like it when a reveal is a little understated. And while Malignant was definitely not understated, there's a lot of emphasis put on it. I think the payoff we got from it in the form of that nuts third act, that absolute balls to the walls third act, I think made the reveal, even if you worked it out, rewarding. And if it didn't click for you, that makes I see why. It makes complete sense. But I will bang my cutlery on the table and yell Gabriel for DVD in the loudest voice I can.
Me too.
Because
No,
god damn.
See, here's the thing for me. It's like what you said, man. I don't sit there and try to outsmart the movie. The only movie I do that with is Scream, and I think they made that movie in the aspect of you to do that with. But like,
You're
I turn off
supposed to.
my
You
brain,
need to
man.
try to, yeah.
Like I just I turn off my brain.
I like movies that are puzzles. Because that's the thing is like I don't normally try to outsmart movies. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that like goes into a Marvel movie and is like, I know exactly who's at the end of this movie. Like, because there are a lot of movies I will turn my brain off for. But if the plot interests me enough, I can't help but try to figure it out depending on the circumstance. Like for another movie that really like it for me that a lot of people liked that I didn't understand was Antlers.
What is that one about?
It was based. I guess the right way to put it is like Native American alien. Is the right way to put it. It's weird because it's a Guillermo del Toro film. And like 50-50 shot, 50-50 shot of his movies is either great or weird. And this one was a weird one. My girlfriend and my family love it.
And my dog loved it too.
I could not get over it because there are a few things that kind of had to hit a criteria for me. One of the things is if you're going to call yourself a monster movie, right? Like Antlers is a monster movie. And if you're going to call yourself a monster movie, yes, you should hide the monster a good long while. You should pull an Alien, right? Like Alien, you don't get a good look at the xenomorph until the very end of the movie. But at the same time, give us some time when we see it, right? Like when you finally see the xenomorph, got quite a chunk of like witnessing this thing and watching it cause chaos. Antlers, the only good look you get on the monster is at the very end, and then the credits roll. Like it's done, and it really missed the mark for me on that one. And then another thing too is just like supernatural stuff really doesn't get to me. I'm way more of a monster fan than I am a supernatural fan, so I guess that's another reason why I'm a little biased against Malignant, is probably because supernatural stuff really doesn't hit. Like I said, Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, that slapped. Like that was amazing, and it made me cry, and that's supernatural. But there's a lot of stuff where like it feels kind of cheap to like default to ghost when it comes to a plot. Like if you could do it with a monster, you could do it with a ghost, and sometimes it isn't just backwards compatible for me like that. I feel like us talking about like me trash talking movies kind of has to lead into our next topic, huh? About
how bad Resident Evil was. No, I'm sorry, what?
About Halloween Ends, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm gonna get burned at the stake for this right now. My channel's gonna lit in the freaking comments.
I can't wait for Tootin to light you up. Let's go.
Oh,
All right, listen here.
The IP address will be on screen in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you like about it?
Okay, I'm the romance shit. I'm sorry. Like the 90% of the film was granddaughter and psycho boy trying to get it on. It was like 80% of the movie. Like I wanted the trailer, the whole trailer, cuz okay, so trailer is a lot of Michael and Laurie. It really tries to make a big deal out of the fact that this is it. Like this is the end. And I love that. One of the big red flags for me was the time jump. When I heard that in the trailer, I was like, uh-oh. Like cuz the 1 year jump something, because I think there's a 1 year jump at the beginning of the movie, right? It's 1 year after events of 2022, and I loved that beginning scene was amazing. But the trailer going, it's been 4 years since Michael killed my daughter. I was like, fucking 4 years? Where has he been? What happened? Like, he doesn't just, like, I know he vanishes, like that's his thing, but like he's a man at some point. He killed a dog in the first movie, and I think Loomis hinted in the first movie that he like got hungry or something like that, and like that's
Oh
why
yeah,
the
he ate
dog's
that
dead
fucking
in the
dog.
room.
Yeah.
Like he ate the dog. You need sustenance. Like I don't care if you're the being of evil. What are you doing sitting in the fucking sewer like for 4 years? There is no reason
See, I don't
they
even
should
mind
have done
that.
a time skip
Well,
like
well,
that.
if you pay attention, if you look carefully, there are billboards in red places in Hanford, so like X missing person, or like talking about like garbage guy
Okay.
missing, which implies that Michael's maybe been killing rats or just eating random people who wander into his midst.
Yeah,
Right,
picking and
like
choosing.
I saw that stuff and I
then
get it,
You
but
said a 4 year, like you said, it was a year after or something like that. I believe most of the stuff happens in the same night because I know
No,
Halloween
no, it's a
2018
year
and
later.
Kills is the same night, and
Yeah,
then
this is a year later now.
yeah. So the beginning is a year later because I know that
Yeah.
one of the scenes that really shocked me after because I rewatched the other two movies to catch up with this movie was there's a scene where we see somebody hanging in the beginning because people are starting to do killings and stuff. And that's Oscar's mom for the first movie, or for the 2018.
yes,
She
no,
hung
I remembered that.
yeah, she hung herself. I'm like, oh my god, like what a
She's dressed in his costume.
Yeah,
She's
I know,
wearing,
that was such a
that was the
scary-
thing that was the thing that connected me immediately with that was like she's wearing his like her own version, but his
I didn't even notice
costume.
that.
Yeah, no, she's wearing his costume from when he got stabbed into the fence when she hung herself. That's her, and that was a really nice tie-in. And there's a lot of those throughout the movie. So there's
Yeah.
her hanging herself. There's the woman from Halloween Kills that got stabbed in the neck with the UV
Yeah.
light. That's like disabled and like in a wheelchair now.
Really
And-
surprised she's still
and-
alive. Oh my god, that was what really shocked me.
Me too. I was like, how the fuck are you alive? Like,
Yeah,
you know, I was shocked.
Because where she was pierced is such a vital spot where she would have definitely been choking or suffocating on her own blood.
Oh yeah.
There was no way the paramedics
yeah.
would have been able to get to her because they would have to be in
Now-
the area, and then there's no way to contact because
Well-
obviously Michael
well-
broke in.
Well, even then, like we're talking horror movie logic. It is possible that like just saying for the fact that it's a horror movie that she lived, like that I could forgive. But God, I think I hated the most was Ori and Michael don't see each other until there is 20 minutes left.
That's how
There is
Halloween 1
no
was, too.
time. No, I know, but like
And
we get
if
a
you
lot
look
of
in the background, Michael's stalking around and
Yeah.
like watching them. You can see him in like different shots hanging
Oh,
out.
that
He's
was
not just in the
yeah, I
sewer
know that was
profile.
amazing. I love that little attention to detail, like from the original movie, where he's like he's still
I didn't-
there. His presence
I
is
saw
there.
I saw the Psycho Kid doing a lot of stalking throughout the movie. I didn't notice Michael
Oh
anywhere.
yeah, Michael's in the background.
Yeah,
in
he's
some of the
he's
shots.
in the background.
I
Yeah,
will. I will give one thing. I'm the bladder of a small infant, so I'm gonna say this, and I gotta run to the bathroom. But the one thing, the one major thing that I didn't like about the movie was the coincidental convenience of, oh, Lori introduces Corey to Allison, and then
Right.
oh, Corey just happens to be the one that accidentally killed a kid, and oh, he just accidentally happens to be
Runs
the one
into
that gets
Michael.
thrown. He gets thrown off a bridge, right where Michael is.
Yeah.
I mean, I get horror movie logic, coincidental convenience. I'm not a big fan of that, but that was my one thing I didn't
Yeah.
like. But I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
I
Uh,
just like the thing. Like I guess this builds me time to keep doing my points, so that way when Tootin comes back to rip me a new one, I'm at least prepared for
Oh
it.
yeah. Well, I
because-
just want to say something real quick because you also mentioned something about the marketing. I know that Blumhouse has nothing to do with the marketing. That's very much its own other team. So I know that they were wanting to market this movie originally just to be like, this is the end, yes, but it's also like, it was supposed to focus on the whole element that Michael's gone, and I think that's why the trailer was the official trailer where they talked about 4 years later was a little bit better, but not quite good because it didn't show Corey a whole lot in the movie. It was mostly Michael, but they really should have listened to Blumhouse and focused on Corey in this and Michael, not
No, I think that actually would have saved the movie for me if the marketing had made more of a point of like Corey being more of the problem, because Michael kills two people in this movie. Like Halloween Kills was like his big murder rampage. I think he killed I think the official count was like 22 people or something like
Yeah,
that,
22.
either in Halloween 2018 or Halloween Kills. I'm mixing up which one it is, but like 22, that is a fucking number. That is huge
Oh, yeah.
for a horror killer. That is nuts. So like I know he got a lot of that out in the last entries, so you don't need to go him going ham in this one.
Yeah.
That being said, him only killing like two people himself on screen, it's kind of ridiculous. And the connection with him and Corey was interesting. Because the beginning of the movie was solid. You know, the opening scene.
Yeah. Well, it's like a parallel,
the-
isn't it?
Or this parallel.
I think so because Michael killed his sister, who was also his babysitter at the time when he was a kid,
Right.
and then he killed a kid when he was the babysitter. So
Okay, yeah, I guess you're right. It is a parallel, but like that I liked the aspect of it all. I liked. But the scene that really got me, other than them like buddying up and killing a slutty nurse and the doctor because she didn't get the job, right? Like that was a total vengeance kill. You know, and
what's
I'm
funny?
surprised even.
that there's you said that he killed a slutty nurse and a doctor. Didn't he? There was somebody dressed up as a slutty nurse and a doctor and kills too. So that's like another connection
Right.
there.
They were the same
Yeah.
people, weren't they?
No, they weren't.
No.
There were costumes in Halloween Kills because it was the
The
African American guy.
the slutty nurse and doctor were the African American couple that like
Yeah.
saw Michael and they got killed like right off the gate, like out at the beginning of the movie. But
She got coddled.
yeah.
I just I don't know, like the scene that really got me and the scene that I was like, no, come on, like stop, was Corey overpowering Michael, taking his mask and then running. And then deciding to do his own thing in terms of being a killer and stuff. Because I knew when Michael got back up from that, like, oh, now here we go. Like
Yeah.
Michael's gonna get up and he's gonna go off and he's gonna be looking for his mask. Like that's the one cardinal rule is never take his mask off unless you plan on killing him. Because if you do, you're screwed, right?
Okay.
Like that's his thing. But you don't see him the rest of the movie. Like that scene and then the rest of the movie takes all the way till 20 minutes left before he's even near Corey to get his mask, and you don't know what the hell he's been up to the whole movie. Like that's where I was like, okay, like
So,
I didn't.
so what I'll say about that is, okay, horror movie logic still, right?
Hmm.
But I mean, Michael is like a 70-year-old dude. You know, granted, it doesn't make sense in context of beating down a whole fucking group of people at the end of Halloween Kills and doing everything he did in Halloween 2018. But he's an old man, so it can be justified in some aspects. Not really, but kinda. But I will say, as much sense as that didn't make, it led to some of the best kills in the franchise.
Oh yeah.
In my
Yeah.
opinion, Corey fucked those people up, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the girl on the gate was my favorite. That was just so. Oh my god, it's like torture.
The girl on the gate and the dude in the fucking studio. Oh,
Yeah.
gnarly.
Venom, I will agree with you on the front of the romance thing because I've just been thinking about that, and I think that's my one issue with the film is the fact that I wish it was given a bit more breathing room because it seems like the final showdown happens on like Halloween night or very close to it, but they're preparing pumpkins at the start. So it makes me feel like it's only been a couple. Like maybe if it started off with a summer romance between Corey and Allison, and then had it like ease gently into the autumn, as opposed to having what looked like only a couple of weeks between Laurie's little speech throwing a pumpkin bits on the ground and everything going to hell. In just a couple of weeks, it feels too quick.
They
Well,
didn't
I think
go
that's
with
the-
a set timeline. I will agree with that.
The time jump also hurts that. So like if the whole movie was a year later, if everything was happening after the night that Corey accidentally killed the kid, that would justify the bullying. That would justify
Hold on,
everything
I'm
that's
gonna look
going
this
on.
up. I think it is.
Everybody having this grudge against him, killing this kid 4 years ago. He's not Michael, right? It's not that big a deal compared to the events of Haddonfield prior. If it was only a year later, a lot of the stuff that happened regarding Corey's character development and the harshness on him that makes him snap in terms of what he did to the poor kid makes way more sense because it's all within this like very short time frame. But 4 years later, we are so far down the road. You're telling me that Corey and Allison have not met each other once in those 4 years? They just met, or like they do seem to have like a knowledge of each other, like they know each other, right? Like when they start talking like they've known each other.
Well, it's probably
But
because
it,
Corey's been rumored around because he's the psycho. So
right,
he's probably heard rumors.
it's all so soon. Like they get so lovey-dovey in like 2 days.
Yeah, looking for the next one.
If it had been spread out, or if it had been only 1 year later and not 4 years later, would have definitely made it a lot more healthy. And I also think the relationship too is like relationship dominated the movie. The movie was about Allison and Corey and how they shouldn't be together because Corey's nuts and Allison's like Laurie Strode's granddaughter and a survivor, right?
Well,
Like there's a lot going on here where like they focus on the relationship between them and not really the effects on Haddonfield.
well,
Because the beginning of the movie,
I honestly don't mind the
Well-
relationship because it's different. You know, like it's divisive, yeah, but it adds. To me, it adds a lot more to the series than we've seen before. Even if it is shoved in our face, and even if we don't get a timestamp on, like, you can tell by his wound. Like when he
Right.
injures his wound, like by the end of the movie, that shit's completely healed, if I remember correctly. Like there's a scar and everything, so you have to imagine it's been anywhere from a month to like 2 months.
Yeah.
So they're in that relationship for a while, but I just didn't mind the relationship and as shoved down at our throats as it was because it was different and it explored the aspect. Okay, we've had this monster, this pure evil monster, hunting and killing and torturing this town for 40 years, but now we have this not monster but devil. We'll say devil because he's not pure evil. And it's like
he's just corrupted.
yeah, he's corrupted. So it's like we're seeing this mini Michael without the pure evil of Mike. It's just interesting to me. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think that's something that really kind of actually the relationship helps is the fact that Allison, out of everyone in the town, Allison and Lori are the ones that show Corey any kind of form of kindness since his incident. Which, oh, you gotta keep in mind, like that's just one force of good. But he has a toxic home environment. He has a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
And he has all this has been building up to evil. And when he's about ready to lose the one thing that he actually likes, that evil takes over, and that's when we get to see that devil.
Yeah.
I get that. I caught that. And that's the one thing I will say I did like about the relationship was like Lori is ultimately responsible for this. It's
Let's
her
be real.
fault.
Laurie's responsible for like everything in the Halloween franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just like can't. Yeah, the marketing department definitely failed
Yeah.
in terms of trying to market this film the way it did because it's definitely not the movie I was going to go see. Because I was like ready to see this in theaters, and then I went and saw another movie in theaters, and I got the 4-year trailer while I was at the theater. I was like, ooh, like wait. So and then I heard it was going to be on Peacock, just like Halloween Kills, where like it's going to be released on Peacock the same day. I was like, okay, thank God, like because then if it really is as bad as I think it could be with the 4-year thing, I'm at least not spending money on it. That way I don't regret my ticket. Because that's the one thing is like, I will say this, I have never gone to a movie, except for one movie, where I've regretted buying the ticket. The one movie I regret was Venom Let There Be Carnage for a billion different reasons.
Yeah.
But
I can see that.
that's not horror. That's not what we're here to talk about. But that's the one movie
kinda.
I've ever regretted paying money for. Every other movie I've either seen at home because I had a feeling it would be bad, and was either pleasantly surprised or pleasantly not surprised. And then otherwise, I've gone to see it in theaters, like
Yeah.
because I like to support my indulgence in terms of really liking movies and wanting to go see movies. So I really like to support them, but I didn't know if I could support them on this one because the marketing was so weird. And I'm glad I didn't because the marketing did not fuel what I saw.
Yeah, I think they should have better prepared people for what they were going to see. I will say, I don't think this should have been the last movie that they done.
No.
I felt like this is the movie where Michael should have died, as he did. But Corey, whatever happens at the end of the
Like
movie,
it
Corey
ends
doesn't
with
die.
Corey.
It, it
Yeah.
it ends with Corey becoming pure evil, and it ends on the trope. It's kind of a trope, but Halloween hasn't done it. It's always been Michael, but it ends on the trope of you can never completely kill evil. Evil will
Right.
always come back in some way, shape, or form, and then Corey takes on the mantle of Michael Myers,
If
and
you
then he
like
comes
that,
back in
then
the
you'll
next
like.
movie and kills Laurie. Yeah,
Yeah. If you like that, then you'll like Antlers, I guess,
Well-
because I know I was talking trash about that earlier. But it's one of those things where it's like a never-ending cycle. It's never gonna stop,
Yeah.
even when the movie's over. So that's one thing I guess you would like.
I know that Jason.
but
Um,
because I mean that
oh,
it makes sense for Michael, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, they treat him as this unkillable evil, but they kill him. That atrocious evil wouldn't just go away.